Is News and Views on Salam Media. Our first guest for the morning is Managing Director at EE Business Intelligence, Chris Yelland. So, finally, after 14 years under construction and 135 billion rands later, the Medupi Power Station has finally been completed, the project, and the power station is ready to roll. Is this good news for us as South African consumers in light of this long ongoing energy crisis that we've been suffering? Chris, good morning. Welcome. Chris, are you there? We have lost Chris, so obviously a poor connection there. Just when I was talking about the energy crisis in South Africa, the powers that be switched us off. So, okay, whilst Nasreen is trying to get Chris back online.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. I thought that it was a rolling blackout on my side, or perhaps your side. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Is this good news for us? Medupi Power Station finally completed after 14 years and 135 billion rands later.
Well, it's always good news when a milestone is reached, and a milestone was reached with the handover for commercial service of the last unit at Medupi. But I think we must be careful to note that this is not the last milestone. It is just one of the milestones along the way, because the project is not completed yet. And so we need to be a little bit cautious. There's still rework to be done, design, rectification work, and fixing up of various installation problems, especially relating to the mills, that is the coal mills, as well as the boilers, the fabric filters, and the ash handling system. And also, finally, the flue gas desulfurization plant, which is a air pollution control measure project worth about 40 billion rand, which hasn't even started yet, and which will only be completed by 2030. So yes, an important milestone, but certainly not the last one.
Okay, Chris, I don't know why I assumed this, but over the years, whilst Medupi was under construction, my thinking was that, we're moving away from coal-generated energy. We're going to go the clean energy route, whatever that might be, whatever that option might be. And I've just heard you mentioning the coal mills. What is this then all about? Are we still going to be totally dependent on coal mines and coal to fuel us in terms of energy?
Well, put it this way. Medupi and Kusile are the two newest coal-fired power stations. Theoretically, they have a life of 50 years. So those power plants, if they are going to get working properly and they're going to serve South Africa, they're going to be around for quite some time. But certainly the move away from coal is happening. And whilst Medupi and Kusile are coming on stream, there are a number of old power stations that are being decommissioned, old coal-fired power stations that are reaching end of life. They're unreliable, they're unpredictable, they're breaking down regularly, they're intermittent, they are very dirty in the sense that they cause a lot of water pollution, air pollution, ground pollution, and they also use a lot of water. So there is definitely a need to decommission these old power stations and to replace them, as is being done, with largely renewable energy from wind and solar PV and battery energy storage, plus some gas to power to back up the intermittency of or the variability of renewable energy. So going forward, the new procurement is largely renewable energy, but we are sitting with this legacy. Medupi and Kusile, they started construction in 2007, 2008. They've taken a much longer to build than was expected, and they're going to be around, unfortunately, for a long time.
Why has it taken so long to reach its completion date? What were the challenges that they faced?
Look, there are going to be books written on the subject. There's a number of different reasons, but we can discuss perhaps just a few of the major reasons. The trouble was that Eskom had not built a new power plant for 20 years. And when these projects came up, the question was, Eskom going to be in charge of the design and project management and construction as it had always done in the past, when it had significant resources, because it used to be building these power stations quite regularly. Or should it contract this out to what is known as an EPC, a main contractor, that is an engineering, procurement, construction main contractor, who takes overall responsibility for the design and execution and the delivery of the project on time and on budget to the customer, which is Eskom Generation. But it was decided that Eskom would do it themselves, as it had done in the past, because the EPC main contractor typically charges 10 to 15% of the project value. In retrospect, it was a very bad decision, because the projects are more than double over budget, more than 2 times over budget. And so it seems in retrospect that was penny wise and pound foolish.
Right.
And by trying to do it yourself without a clear understanding that many of the skills that had been built up during the heyday of Eskom's build program had been lost because they hadn't built for 20 years. People have moved on to other projects around the world. And really, Eskom didn't have the capacity, engineering skills, the project management skills, the quality control skills, and all that goes with building a mega project. And unfortunately, that's caused a lot of delays and cost a lot of money in the end.
Okay, what is the capacity of Medupi? And
Right.
Is the power station ready to go commercial?
The capacity of Medupi, its nameplate capacity, is 4,800 megawatts. A certain percentage of that 4,800 megawatts is used in the plant itself to drive various machinery and pumps and all kinds of services. So it's slightly lower. The output is slightly lower. That is the theoretical output. Now, if you're running the units flat out and 365 days a year, it has what is known as an energy availability factor of 100%. But because it has to do certain shutdowns for maintenance of different units, a new plant should be achieving an energy availability factor of 85 to 90%. That means it can deliver 85 to 90% of its nameplate energy over a period, say a year. The reality is that Medupi, the first 5 units of Medupi, the first 7 months of this year, are only delivering 63% of their nameplate, which is about 25% less than what they would hope to or design to generate. So they're not performing properly. They are delivering energy into the grid, but about 25% less than what they should be. And that is due to various technical and design problems that have cropped up. Your question, should they have been handed over just yet? Well, my view personally is that they were not really ready to be handed over. If you're not developing, if there are design problems that still have to be rectified, yes, you can generate electricity from them, but they should not be handed over to the customer as final plant because they're not performing as they should. But there's a sort of a conflict here. Eskom Capital Projects is what we call the EPC main contractor. They are responsible for delivering the project on time and on budget. And the customer is Eskom Generation. So you have this incestuous relationship where the project manager is also the customer in the same company. So there's a lot of pressure to hand over a plant even before it's complete.
Right.
And there's production pressure to get this into service because we need the energy badly. But the result is that a half-complete job, or shall we say, a not fully completed job, has been handed over to Eskom. And Eskom still have to do the rework. It's not over yet. To get them performing properly, number one, and currently they are not meeting their pollution emission requirements in terms of the law. and they can only operate by getting an exemption from the law from the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. So they're not performing properly. It's as simple as that.
Finally, that obviously means that we're still going to be living with rolling blackouts on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, look, this is the question that is asked of me. With this announcement that the last unit is handed over for commercial service, does this mean we're going to have now, thankfully, hopefully, less load shedding going forward? And the answer is no, not really, unfortunately. And let me try and explain why. This last unit is unit number 1, has actually been in service delivering power into the grid for the last 9 months.
Okay.
Its first synchronization to the grid took place about a year ago. And since then, they've been doing commissioning and getting it working, etc. So it is being delivering power into the grid. They ramped this up over a period of time. And finally, when it reaches a level that you can say it's ready, it gets handed over. So the handover is a kind of a paperwork exercise when the project is handed over from the constructor to the user. But the reality is that it has been generating, for the last 9 months, and it will continue to generate, maybe not fully. But the point is, it's wrong to think that we suddenly have yesterday, or when this was handed over, an extra 800 megawatts of new power coming onto the grid.
Right.
It's not like that. This power has been on the grid for the last 9 months. So we're not going to see a sudden increase in the available electricity supply, and that means we're not going to get a sudden end to load shedding.
Yeah.
The end to load shedding will come, over a period of time as we put on new generation capacity beyond Medupi and Kusile.
So really, headlines are very misleading. We do need to dig deeper into the story to get to the facts.
Yes.
Chris, always a pleasure talking to you. All I can say is that we know Eskom has been battling to supply reliable and consistent electricity for years due to, number one, corruption, mismanagement, and of course, breakdowns of its aging power stations. And hopefully with Medupi now on line, things will get a little or relatively better. But thank you indeed for talking with us.
Thank you so much. All the best.
And to you. 8:32 exactly. And of course, you are listening to News and Views right here on Salam Media, waiting to hear whatever's on your mind, or perhaps want to comment on the issue around the petrol price and the energy crisis and Medupi going online in South Africa.